Morning. Coming back from the convention of the Rebbe's emissaries. I don't know if you have to go very far to come back from that. It's a time of reflection on what the mission is. If there's all these emissaries totally revolutionizing Judaism, that reform is not the most attractive approach to Judaism, but Chabad can make it spectacular around the world, not just where it's comfortable. So kudos to Chabad for their shluchim. That includes you. Eliezer was not a shadchan, servant of Abraham, was not sent on a mission as a shadchan, having a personal interest. Shadchan, matchmaker, gets paid money for making a good shidduch, or any shidduch rather. They don't care whether it's a good one or not. Eliezer, the servant of Abraham, was given this mission as a shliach. So the Rebbe draws on this idea, since it's the first time that a mission is given, an emissary, an agent, is assigned a task, and it's the most universal and important task of all our religion, was for Avram to have continuity, and he did that with Isaac, his son. So Yitzchak, at 37, was taken to be bound and offered as a sacrifice on the altar. He was just meant to be brought up as a sacrifice, not actually slaughtered. So he lives in the Garden of Eden for 3 years, comes down, he's 40 years old, and Rivka is at risk of being captured by the horrible people in her community. So it was urgent that on the day she turns 3, that she should be saved. So a miracle happens for this shliach, to make this important shidduch, to save this girl from the horrors of the culture of the time, which just denigrated women as something that's a part of their upbringing. And we will see today a very different look at what the role of female is in Judaism, how refined and elegant it is. So the model of our mission is this servant Eliezer, who says, Eved Avraham Anechi. He identifies not as any personal interest, he's just doing the mission because he's the servant of Abraham. So that is, although he has to use his own ingenuity, his own intellect, his own ideas, he was totally devoting that capacity, those resources, those faculties that make him who he is, because he was a very talented person and a good warrior at that. And here he becomes not a shadchan, but a shliach, to make the most important marriage so Abraham can continue his good work throughout time, not just space. Abraham traveled a lot. How does he travel through time? Through having a good shidduch for his son. So Eliezer, his servant, is not only someone who's driven with a purpose and he has a task and a mission, and therefore, just inviting some people, and therefore he has a disinterest in the details of the mission, because that is assigned to him. He accepts that. He doesn't introduce his own idea as to what is to be done, but rather welcome how to do it is his mission. So he has the fusion of two things that are opposite. He has devotion, which is accepting purpose from another source. Here it's Abraham. By extension, it's Hashem to us, a mission, and Chassidim to the Rebbe. They have a mission. So what it is not what we determine. What it is something that we receive totally and wholeheartedly, And what we use to put that into action is what makes us who we are. So all of our faculties, all the way that we express our concerns and our interests, are devoted to the task that's not authored by ourselves, but it's given to us. So we have the both opposites of acceptance of authority and commanding one's own focus and purpose towards that end. So since the servant, the agent, has this synthesis of these two opposites, that's the marriage he's intended to discover in the world. He sees two forces. There's a Yitzchak and a Rivka. He didn't know Rivka's name at the time, and we'll see what her name means. It's pretty fascinating. It's not very well known what Rebecca means, is it? It means a group like a bind, like a group of animals tied together, like a herd. We'll see what the importance of that is. So you have two forces. You have Yitzchak, someone was into davening, was very introspective compared to Abraham. Not much is written about him. He's very mysterious, and he's the one that we're going to call Father in the future redemption, because he is going to teach us redemption. So Yitzchak is, of course, about laughter. We've spoken a lot about that. Here it's the laughter, the joy, the recognition of the true identity of who you are is a Jewish soul, if you're a Jewish soul. So that is required not to just experience delight in paradise forever, but it has to be married to a body. So the soul is intended to be fused and joined and married to the body, not where they see themselves as separate. We spoke about that last week for my son's bar mitzvah. Look that up. The sorcerer who argues with the sage, telling him that only his top half is holy, his lower half belongs to the realm of down under. And he proves that that's not true, and suggesting that is the goal of a Jew, is to have this marriage within them of body and soul. So there really is no difference between the two, and the unity of Judaism, the monotheism, comes back to the roost. Welcome. But before I get into all that, so you see where we're going? Okay, the mission of the Shliach, the Shluchim of the Rebbe, the instrument of Chabad throughout the world, is told they're told that just like a Shliach has to have these two opposites, he has to have bittul, acceptance of authority that's beyond him, and he has to have his own approach, his own personality. So since the Shaliach, the Rebbe is telling his emissaries, possesses these two qualities, they have to know that that's meant to teach us that is the purpose of our mission itself. That we have to bring others to have that unity, to spread that message that the soul and body are meant to be wed, not dead in their remoteness from each other. Okay, so I want to learn like one or two paragraphs from the Rebbe's emphasis that this is the only thing that's required. He says it a few times. The only thing that is required, that remains to be done in the shluchus, the emissarial work, is to receive the face of Mashiach, to greet Mashiach in actuality, in order that he can fulfill his task of taking the Jews out of exile. So there's two things here. There's a personal redemption, and then there is the geographical, more or political, or It's really an ideological victory over the world. It's not, I've explained how it's not political or geographical, but the redemption is an ascension of awareness. So when that happens en masse, you appoint the leader that will descend from the Davidic dynasty. He will ascend the throne. But that is brought about from everybody doing that on themselves. And I drive this point home to other people that have similar ideologies to me, but really understand this differently. To them, literally, it's all about saying, Rebbe, we accept that you've said as a prophet that the time of the redemption has arrived, and I accept you as our Mashiach, our Messiah. And that, it sort of resonates with L'havdil, other religions, that approach. I don't think that's the problem with it. I think the problem is that that's really missing the Rebbe's message here. It's really not about saying, Rebbe, you're the best. When people did that to the Rebbe just said, why don't you thank Hashem? I've seen it again and again, and I don't even watch that many of those videos of people passing by the Rebbe. I used to write about them, like little details, and I had a lot of fun with that. But whenever someone said, Rebbe, you're the greatest, Rebbe, I owe you everything, the Rebbe tells people, and he wouldn't do this to Chassidim, because he understood that Chassidim had a bigger picture of the role of Rebbe, but he would do this more to sort of people that are not necessarily Chabad, but they came to the Rebbe. He would tell them, why don't you thank Hashem? Usually non-religious people. Why don't you thank Hashem?